6.
You gained 60 pounds? How old would you? How old would you have been in that picture?
Senior year of college.
We gotta show that photo.
My senior.
We gotta.
We
gotta pop that up.
I went heavily when I stopped playing. I went heavily against the physical activities and just went straight duck blend.
And how did you get that big? Like, what was the process? How long?
My body's insanely responsive. I wish I could say like 2 years, but that's, I don't know, 8, 10 months. Maybe.
Oh, wow.
10 months?
Yeah.
What made that body? Is that
Duck.
I know, but I want to know specifically. Is that cheesecake? Is it donuts? Is it chips?
Specifically, that would be like, so I would hunt 80 plus days in the flyway during college, like at least 80 plus days. And I wasn't doing anything on the off days either, like as far as activity goes. I was still kind of eating the same, but essentially like gas station breakfast sandwiches in the morning, Snickers, candy bars, like
Straight Coke?
the regular Coke. Lots of energy drinks. I would eat like 2 footlongs from Subway or whatever sandwich shop we would go to in between hunting and like going to the next spot. We would feel like a sandwich shop. I'd do 2 footlongs, maybe more. And then a bunch of kids at the scouting.
Love
right?
that.
I'm finding what the words were.
Driving around scouting, though.
Yeah.
Not,
No walking. 0 walking. I'm talking like the most active was climbing on top of the truck cab to stand up, to grasp where the birds were landing and where they were located and where they were roosting.
It takes effort.
Yeah, I mean a little effort. I've got a couple of deep breaths and late time. Dinner was whatever we could get our hands on and a lot of dessert.
That sounds like more food in one day than I eat in a week. Sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
My sweet tooth. That's when I developed my affinity for good.
Did it ever go away? You still got it?
I mean, I fight it for sure. That's like the one thing that'll get me is that
Sweets.
Yeah, I want to just throw down some desserts.
Yeah.
We got on this topic because we have guests today.
Yeah.
And the 2 gentlemen at the end of the table, we have Dennis and Joe. Give me your last names, if you would, so I don't miss
Elliston.
Elliston?
Yep.
Stokes.
Stokes. That's
Yep.
pretty easy. Elliston and Stokes.
Yep.
So we got the guys from Initial Ascent. We got on the topic because we were talking about how in shape these guys are.
Very much.
I mean, they walked in looking like, did you guys do a CrossFit workout this morning before you got here? No? You look like you did. Geniuses. How'd you get that ripped? Because you weren't this ripped too. When did I meet you? Maybe 4 years ago?
Probably 4 years ago.
Probably 4 years ago. I remember.
I don't know. I just, I kept, I've got a really hot wife, and I want to keep her. You know,
Some motivation.
we actually did this thing the other day. It was so funny. So my wife is on Snapchat so she can keep up with our kids. And she got on there, and you can do these filters, right? So we're together, and she does the old filter. And so I'm like, oh, this ought to be interesting. I looked like my dad. I mean, everything was white. I mean, I looked terrible. Not that my dad looked terrible, but I looked terrible. My wife didn't change a bit.
Yeah.
So it's just another reminder that I got to stay on my
gotta work
game.
hard.
I got to work hard.
You got to work hard.
So yeah. So I try to watch what I eat and everything. And I was doing that carnivore for a while.
How long did you do that?
I did it for about 60 days. But man, I just love to eat. I love good food. And it's
I still don't
really,
believe people could do that during the hunting season.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Like, that's going to be so tough.
you know what?
Broke it for me was going into hunting season. You can't do it.
Yeah, how long were you on it?
100 plus days.
Were you really? It's a long time.
I did the lion diet. I essentially did it for the cleanse purpose.
Okay.
I always had like kind of an off stomach, kind of an iffy stomach, and really bad acid reflux. So I was doing a lot of research into it and basically could cure all that. Well, I'm not to be like a witch doctor by any means, but ever since, dude, I have been amazing.
Really?
My stomach's been totally good. 0 acid reflux.
Oh,
Nothing.
it's awesome.
I did that 100-day lion diet cleanse. It's red water.
So that's why you did it, but what are you doing? I want to know. I'm genuinely curious.
Honestly, I do carnivore, but it's with a smattering of carbs. So if I want to have something, at night, maybe a scoop of ice cream or something, because my daughter works at an ice cream shop.
Oh,
I'll go get me a scoop of ice cream.
Handles? You guys been to Handles? I don't. It might be local to St. George, but I tell you what, that ice cream.
That's my girlfriend's favorite place.
It slaps. It's so good.
I got one bone to pick with Handles.
Oh, really? What is it?
It's so good because they're inconsistent because it's so good when they're just a little bit off, it's noticeable. And they're very inconsistent.
Interesting.
That's my
I've only been there a couple times, but it was
What do
damn
they
good.
serve?
ice cream.
Oh,
handmade ice cream.
Yeah, giant serving.
So good.
Monster shitty.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh.
So good.
Yeah, delicious.
But yeah, I think the diet's
Mostly
the,
diet?
the big
That's the big
thing.
part.
Yeah. And
So you maintain carnivore with a few carbs, you eat fruit, vegetables, or just mostly?
not much, man. I grew
Really?
up, I was a picky eater. I
didn't
mean,
eat
really picky.
No?
But I have worked my way into Brussels sprouts, which I actually love.
Brussels
cooked
sprouts are awesome.
cooked in bear fat and bacon. Ooh.
Not.
Yeah.
Fruit?
So fruit, yeah. Love all fruit.
Yeah, and then just a little bit of carbs.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And then
so,
what about working out?
I try to hit it as much as I can, 3-4 times a week in the gym, but I mean a lot of it is
Are we talking like LA Fitness, or are we going to like a CrossFit gym?
no, dude, I'm just doing my own thing.
Just at home?
Either at home or, in the local gym down there.
Gotcha.
Cold goodness, the Globo Gym.
She's the first one that comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
So that's the true Globo Gym.
Joe, you're not going to get off the hook. I got to know. I got to know. I mean, the pair of you are like a hell of a combo.
So for me, a lot of it has been diet.
Right.
I try to get 160 grams of protein a day.
Okay.
How much a day?
163.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I work out. I love working out. I'm 6 times a week on average. And you guys familiar with Kristen Armstrong?
I'm not.
I think she won the Olympics 3 times. She's like the most decorated female cyclist, I think, in the history.
Okay. Good.
So she's a Boise gal, and she has 2 or 3 gyms, and I go to her classes. They do these heated ignite, so it's 106.
Okay, pull that mic. I'm sorry.
It's like 106, and I think the room temperature is like 38 degrees. So we work out for an hour in that, and I do it 3 times a week, and I'm just hooked. Absolutely love it. So
Looks like we need to start giving some.
you could just do it right here. You don't have to have a heated classroom, right? Just walk outside.
Yeah. It's super hot, right? So heated gym.
Yep, heated gym. Love it.
Interesting.
Didn't like it the first couple times at all.
Uh-huh.
Took me like a week to recover the first time I did it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just like,
That's the part I get stuck in. It's that first day.
Yeah.
Nope, too sore. Can't shoot my bow.
what I told
I'm
you.
out. I'll go running.
I did the run at lift run shoot, which I hate because I'm not a runner. So then I told Trill, I said, since I do this, you got to come to the gym and lift weights.
There you
No,
go.
won't do it.
Yeah, we did that lift run shoot event. It's actually become a thing at this point. So like we've done it 2 years in a row. The first year Brady and I, we landed at like 3 a.m, got up, had to be there at like 7 the next morning, and then we had 5 hours of seminars the whole day. So we skipped the workout, right? Cam was kind of giving us some shit about it, but like this year I skipped it again. And at one point, like I had to walk to the bathroom, and you have to walk by where everybody's working out. And I mean, there's dudes puking. I mean, they're going full tilt, right? I look over at Cam, and he gives me like the slow clap as I'm walking, just completely trolling me. And I thought, the thing that he doesn't know is like that's what I thrive on. Like I definitely won't do it.
Yeah, now you definitely want
I'm completely obstinate. So yeah, pretty funny. But I do need to do something. One of these years I'll get into it, right?
It's working. If this is the most out of shape you've been,
Right.
the frustrating.
Yeah, this is it.
Whatever you're doing is working.
Yeah. Anyway, we got off on a tangent, but I appreciate you guys coming down. I guess we should hit promo before we get too deep, right?
Yeah.
So we can meet our marketing needs. Marketing team. Yeah, do you want to hit it?
Sure, I'll give you guys the promo. So, as always, once you guys have awesome research and we're in mapping season, we're going to talk about some. Are we talking about leftover tags coming up here?
Yeah. Nevada first come, first serve.
Nevada first come, first serve. We got some Idaho stuff going on. If you want to check out that article, there was a lot of actually really sick Nevada tags turning last year. I think 10 bighorn sheep tags, 1 mountain goat tag.
Some great elk tags.
Yeah, there's 10 deserts, 1 Cali ram tag. So there's a lot of opportunities left. So you want to do some research before those tags pop up. You need an insider account. So use promo code podcast when you sign up. You can get 50 points back to the Going Gear Shop, which is $50 you can spend in the shop on a new backpack.
Yeah,
Initial Ascent backpack.
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, this is my last year to troll those Colorado residents and send non-residents their way. So for the over-the-counter archery hunters, you can still pick up a Colorado elk tag, and I think that's going on sale August 2nd, which is fast approaching. It's hard to believe we're already into like
crazy,
hunting
isn't
season. Yeah, and then shout out to Sig Optics, sponsor the podcast. Those guys are great. An awesome set of binos. Products are great.
Tack, and the more we get to know them, they're just
Do you guys have any of those?
the best guys.
Yeah.
You got the image stabilizing binos?
Yeah, my daughter actually just showed up and bought me some for my birthday this last May, and I freaking love them.
You got a daughter old enough to buy you Sig binos for your birthday?
That's my youngest.
No way.
Yeah, she's 18.
How old
She
are you,
just-
can I ask?
I'm 49.
Damn. Way to go.
No doubt.
Good job.
So we had customers come up at TAC last weekend, and they're young guys. They were in their 20s, you know, and I see the one guy saying, "Hey, this guy looks like Hayes," and I'm like, "Hayes?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's my buddy. You look just like him. I mean, like if Hayes was 30, you'd be twins." I'm like, 30? How old do you think I am? And he says, "Well, you can't be any more than 35. I said, "Dude, you just made my week."
day.
I mean,
No doubt.
Nice.
I would have guessed much younger.
oh, well, thank you.
Isn't that funny? Like the invention of social media, the ability to like find your doppelgangers or see doppelgangers.
Right.
Like we went to this SIG event. We were sitting next to I can't remember the gentleman's name. He played for the Bruins, played hockey. If you come up with the top of your head,
That was his name.
Kevin Miller.
Kevin. Yeah,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting next to him, and like we'd been 2 days, and I just kept looking at the guy, going, "Man, I can't quite figure this out. You look like somebody." Then it dawned on me, he's like identical, and I mean identical twins to my next door neighbor. Oh, wow. And I pulled out a photo and I showed him, and I was like, "Look, what do you think?" And he's just like, "Oh, that is weird."
Yeah, no joke.
No joke.
Really?
Identical.
Identical. Yeah, just wild. But anyway, 30. That's awesome.
Good for you.
Way to go.
The opposite from me.
You get the opposite?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's awesome. Accent. Where's your accent from? You got a little bit of an accent.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Central Florida.
Okay.
And, but I grew up and went to school there in the Panhandle of Florida, so right up above a place called Panama City. And then I spent 7 years in Alabama, and that's where it came
You picked
from.
it up in Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, where I grew up is kind of lower Alabama. They call it L.A., and so there's a lot of rednecks around there, and I was one of them. And so then I went up to Alabama, and actually the only thing I grabbed that was beneficial from Alabama was my wife, and fortunate enough to find her before I moved to Idaho. So
What were you doing in Alabama?
I was going to school. Yeah, so I played ball at UAB for 4 years, and then I went to grad school at Auburn. And so-
Football, baseball,
football.
football. What position?
Corner.
Oh, there you go. It's fast.
Used
You look
to be.
fast.
He has.
That's about all I had going for me. Yeah.
Right on. And then, so you grew up there, and then what brought you to Idaho?
So I went to school to be basically a dairy nutritionist, so or a ruminant nutritionist. So basically nutrition for cows. And I got hired on by a company out in Idaho, and it was I didn't know where Idaho was.
That's crazy.
It was up and left, yeah, and it was like Iowa, Idaho, big diff, So I got hired by a company in 2000, and they took me out. Matter of fact, married my wife, and 2 days later we packed everything we owned and drove out to Idaho in separate vehicles with 2 dogs. Oh, that was rough. What a honeymoon.
For that one, probably.
I'm still making up for that. Yeah.
She like Idaho now?
She does. She loves it. Yeah.
Grew on her?
Yeah, it took a while though.
Really?
Oh man, it took a while. Yeah, because she born and raised around Birmingham, Alabama, and it's just so different.
You take the girl out of the South. You can't take the South out of the girl.
Exactly.
Gotcha. And then, so give us like your official titles. Like, are you the owner, inventor? Give
Yeah,
us.
we're co-founders.
Co-founders, co-owners.
Co-owners. Yep.
And then, what year did you start the backpacking company, and why? Like, what was the catalyst for that?
So we started it when we launched the pack in 2018, but we spent about 3 years before that working on the frame. So technically, we founded the company in 2015.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And why? I mean, did you grow up hunting, both of you? What's your background?
So I grew up in Kansas, waterfowl hunting. That was our big thing back there.
You get as fat as I did.
No, not quite. But I can relate
just
to all
you.
the crud that you put in because I did the same thing. But yeah, I grew up in Kansas, and then I moved out to Vegas in '96, and then was in Ohio and then back to Vegas for 8 more years. And I've been up in Idaho since 2004.
What were you doing in Vegas?
So back then it was Black & Decker and then DeWalt.
Okay.
Worked with them. So we sold all the tools down here as all this construction was going crazy for the commercial side of it. And then I transitioned over and worked on the residential side.
Gotcha.
So it's quite a
Background in engineering or marketing?
sales, marketing.
Sales, marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. So neither of you have like a background in engineering, right? Like,
No, neither one of us.
No.
Nope.
We had problems. And
Still
so
do.
Yeah, and so we needed to find solutions.
Yeah.
And I had a lower back issue from way back, and I couldn't find a pack that fit me, especially with heavy weight. I mean, it didn't work. And so that was one of the main drivers that I had. And Joe and I we'd always sit around, and we were talking.
how'd you guys meet?
Yeah, I mean, we actually
Church.
met. Yeah, church. I would look like one of his high school buddies, I guess, right? Day or something like that. So,
Theme.
Another one, yeah.
That's right.
So I was actually a greeter, and for, I don't know, a couple of years, I would greet them every Sunday and never went anything past that.
I always have a wall up. And I mean, I love it. Once I get talking to people, I love it. But yeah, I thought he was a great guy. He introduced himself. And yeah, it was just like, hey, how you doing? And I'd take my wife.
Yeah,
There's Day
Day. So when we first started talking, he's like, you look just like my buddy Day Day. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Anyways, but
Took 2 years.
yeah, and then I think when we actually started talking more than good morning was it was at the kids' baseball or football.
Football. Yep.
Yeah. So our 2 boys, I've got a younger one. He's now 20, but back then they played flag football together. And I saw Dennis over there. I'm like, that dude looks familiar. So I went over and just introduced myself. And then you know how it is when kids are playing sports, you're together, practices and games, and that then led to us really just starting to talk about more hunting.
That's what I should have done at my kids' ball games, is find a buddy to talk to instead of just like standing in the outfield yelling.
Phil's got that wall up as well.
That's my move. Find the deepest, darkest corner of the gym and then continue to yell over
Just over there by yourself,
over
isolated.
everybody. Yeah, that's what I should have done, is find a buddy, calm me down.
Yeah. Well, it took
hilarious.
like 4 practices for Joe to come over.
Yeah.
Because I sure wasn't going to go over to him because I was sitting there by myself.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he did. And
Yeah,
I
and then we
found out
just-
we had a lot
A lot in
in
common.
You guys were both hunting at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Doing some pretty hardcore
Yeah.
hunts.
I wouldn't say hardcore for me. I was more into the backpacking side of it. When I moved out there, I had never done backpack style anything. And I mean, first time I actually went on a backpack trip, there was 2 other fathers, and we took all of our boys up to quote man's camp, right? And we were going to pack 2 miles in. Kids were all little squirts, and I'd never done it. I had no idea. So I borrowed from a neighbor an REI pack, and for a 2-day hunt with my kids, I went in at 84 pounds.
Ooh.
Yeah, had no idea, right? And I look like, you guys remember the Beatles, the Volkswagen Bugs?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like on my back.
Right.
And I mean, I was taking Coleman sleeping bags, Coleman lantern. I had no idea. I'd never done this stuff before. And we get up there and it pours down rain. And I've got a tent from college that was a Walmart special, right? We just get soaked. And I remember in the middle of the night, I reached over and grabbed my youngest, who Ty was probably at that time maybe 6. And I just pulled him in because he was shaking. I could feel him. And it was just like, whoosh, just soaking wet, laying in a wet sleeping bag. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So we got up next morning, packed out, and I probably was going out as close to 100 pounds because everything was soaking wet. Yeah. But that was my first time backpacking into the mountain. And one of my buddies that went in there with Ed, he's got a picture of it, but it literally looks like I've got a giant beetle on my back. Got a tarp on the back. I got a lantern. I mean, it was pretty comical.
My dad talks about backpacking with some work buddies. This would have been probably in the maybe early 80s, and he remembers getting to base camp, and this guy starts pulling out bottles of peaches, glass bottles of peaches, bottled peaches, and he's like, we all sit there and looked at him like, what are you doing? You're packing around bottles of peaches. But then he's like, as soon as he started eating them and then just like drinking the juice, we're all like, oh man, we wish we had some peaches.
Yeah. We had a guy pull out fruit cocktail, a can of fruit cocktail one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a buddy I used to shed hunt with all the time, and it was always an adventure. We'd meet up for lunch just to see what that guy pulled out of his backpack for lunch because it was always something exotic. Yeah, and some like New York strip steak or like some leftover enchiladas or whatever. I was always like, man, canned pineapple. That was always.
That guy's living.
Porter goes in heavy with the food.
Does he?
Yeah.
Porter and his tortellinis.
Yeah,
Tortellinis pesto.
Salami sandwich, the real Italian salami and pesto sandwiches. Yeah, he's all about it.
Ooh.
Sounds like we need to hunt with him a little bit.
Yeah, no joke. So, did you guys grow up hunting? Both of you?
I did.
You
Yeah.
did as well? Whitetail?
Yeah, whitetail, hogs.
Gators?
It wasn't legal at that time.
Oh, gotcha.
Have you killed a gator since?
Well, I'd killed a few. Yeah,
Statute of limitations is.
well, we had cows, and so
Oh, right.
So during calving season stuff, we had to kind of keep them thinned, in our ponds and whatnot. So
We talk about it all the time, kind of as a joke, but not really. Like it's something we all kind of want to do.
Yeah.
We all just talk about when we could throw in a gator hunt. It'd be fun.
I think.
Oh,
Talk
yeah.
about something just wildly different.
Yeah,
I was looking at
absolutely.
Georgia odds the other day. It's like some people are saying it takes like 7-8 points.
Yeah, we need to.
Florida got some points. I'm starting to build.
Yeah,
Well,
points
there
in
you go.
South Carolina.
Yeah, so Florida's doing
Heck
points
yeah.
now. Really? When I was growing up in Florida, I kid you not, our deer season, you just bought a license. You didn't have tags. And we could kill a buck a day during the season. That's why Florida deer never got very big. But yeah, and then there was one weekend where we could do it was doe weekend. I mean, that was everybody was out for doe weekend. You could kill 2 does a day and a buck a day, that weekend. So, but yeah,
That's how Arkansas is still.
is that right?
I think so. Pretty close to that.
Yeah. A lot of shot opportunities for sure. So,
Did you guys follow the Instagram page of these guys catching, what is it, anacondas or pythons or whatever down there now?
Crazy, isn't it?
that's gone nuts.
Those like 17 foot.
Yeah.
Are they anaconda or python?
They're python.
Python.
Burmese.
Burmese python.
Burmese,
Right, yeah.
And they're trying to find the 20-footer.
Yeah.
I don't know if they found one yet, but that's like what everyone's after because they're just shy of it.
I saw one pop up the other day in my feed that was a 17 footer, and I was just
Crazy,
like,
isn't it?
what in the
they're watching it.
world?
That's wild down there.
They down Everglades or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their hides are
Those
incredible.
things are.
See those guys just jump
Rampant.
in and go after. It's like you lost your ever loving mind.
Yeah, the head's as big as your hand, bigger.
When they
Yeah, giant.
It is giant.
That wasn't ever a thing when you lived there and nobody's talking about it?
Oh, no.
Has that been what, the last 15 years, 10 years maybe?
Yeah, probably 15, 20 years even.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The air rifles on the iguanas looks pretty damn.
They kill some massive iguanas down there, too. Yeah, we didn't have those up in our country.
Yeah.
I heard they have forecasting for iguanas when it freezes. They'll fall from the trees. That's,
Yeah,
that's
they
my
will.
girlfriend told me.
Really?
Like, it literally is on the news. Like, there's gonna be iguanas falling from trees. You gotta watch out. It's like it's a thing because they just freeze and fall, and they wake up later, and people throw them in the trash cans, and think they're dead, but then they wake up and
No way.
I don't know
cause
where
terror
I
again.
don't know where they rip.
That's crazy.
So it's weird.
With the famous Florida man, like now it's a thing on social media. Like whenever there's the headline in the news, Florida man, it's always something just fucking wild.
Oh, yeah.
Was that a thing when you were there? Was like were Florida people that crazy even back then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like all of a sudden just wild.
Yeah, especially in my community. But
You had
I
some
mean,
characters.
Oh, yeah, definitely had some characters. But yeah, and we were, like I said, right there in the Panhandle, so it was just redneck central. I mean, and grew up around a rural town, and it was a great place to grow up. Now I don't know if I want to go back. It's just drugs everywhere.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Changed a lot.
It's changed a lot, but yeah, it was fun growing up there. I grew up on a dirt road, and just rode my quad all over the place, and had some public land right behind us actually, and so I was just being a kid, and my parents I'd leave before daylight and get back after dark, and they wouldn't worry a bit.
Yeah,
So,
sounds like me.
yeah,
Good living.
yeah,
Good times.
absolutely.
Grew up the same way.
So I was a city kid. I grew up in Kansas City, kind of in the inner city, kind of a rougher area. And but we did a lot of hunting, but we had to drive to it. So waterfowl, and then we would always go up to South Dakota and go pheasant hunting up in South Dakota. And then Kansas actually has some really good quail hunting if you get out in central part of it. So we did a lot of quail hunting back there, and pheasant was decent. Nothing like Iowa or South Dakota, but it was decent. But waterfowl was our main thing.
I go to.
Yeah.
Were you hunting big game when you were in Nevada?
No, I wasn't, which was a big disappointment. Yeah, in a lot of ways. So, but I was telling Dennis on the flight over here, one of the very first elk herds I saw was out on Mount Charleston. I was up there with my dog at a Chessie, and we were up there.
I have.
Yeah, good waterfowl dog. Yeah, yeah. So we were up there, and then I heard all the rocks falling. And look over, and sure enough, there's a herd of elk up there at Mount
And not
Charleston.
many people know there's elk right outside Las Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
Like most people don't think of elk
That
being
cool
involved.
elk herd. There's a good herd out there.
Yeah. So
So when did you had back trouble, you said? Mm-hmm. And what were, like, specifically, what were you trying to address with your back? Like, what was it doing?
It was down L4, L5. And had slip disc and what was called spondylolisthesis, and it was just from an injury, a football injury, and basically one of the vertebrae was kind of out, protruded out and down a little bit, and so it would mess with all the nerves and stuff. And so what I would do, and I haven't ever had surgery on it, but I've been able to just keep my core strong, and that's another thing that keeps me going too. As long as I keep those surrounding muscles, I don't really have a problem with it. But when I would put the lumbar pad of whatever pack I was running, it's right there on that spot. And if it wasn't right, especially with heavy weight, and back then, I mean, early 2000s, shoot, there wasn't really anything out there. So that was the biggest thing for me, is trying to figure out that solution right there. And that's, you'll notice on our packs, our lumbar pad is fairly substantial. It's dual padded and everything. And that was one thing that Joe and I really wanted to get accomplished there. And matter of fact, if my back starts hurting even today, I'll take and either, if I don't put just a hip belt on and tighten it down and walk around, or I'll just put an empty pack on, tighten it down, and within 15 minutes my back pain's gone.
we have more people that bring that up to us.
Really?
Yeah.
We
it is
run into
amazing
so
how
many
folks
people
say that.
Yeah.
Put an empty pack on and tighten it down.
Tighten it down.
Lumbar pad.
It just compresses it, and all of a sudden you're secure.
Yeah.
And you even if you make the wrong move, you're still protected, it seems like. So,
Yeah.
That's like one knee brace for your back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Huh? Lines you out.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
so for me, that works.
Were you using existing backpacks and trying to modify them to make them to work for you?
All the time.
Yeah, we were trying every pack.
Both
out
of you?
there. Yeah, yeah, and this was at the point where we were on the mountain talking. What about this? What about that?
Yeah, we were hunting together.
So you guys started kicking around the idea of, like, what if we did our own backpack?
Yeah,
So we did kid sports to now on the mountain.
on the mountain with the kids. Actually, with the kids, we took the kids hunting a lot. So yeah, we started bear hunting together. So we'd bear hunt and we'd turkey hunt. Those were the first couple that we did.
Yeah.
And then I had a relationship at Boise State. So a while back, I actually tried to make a decoy keel. So I had a relationship with their tech help, which would take a project so far where you could work with an engineer, but they would have student engineers so you could get your costs down. It was a great program. And I think we worked with them for about a year and a half. And it took the frame to a point where we actually had a workable frame. And but the whole time, Dennis and I, we were going to the expo, and we just kept checking out all the different packs. So there's a lot of pack manufacturers out there, a lot of them just up in Idaho. And we just kept saying, well, what about this? What about this? We really just white sheeted it. We didn't have an agenda as to it had to be this material, but we knew we wanted to, one, address the back issue. But for us, it was also like, how do you carry heavy loads more comfortably, right? Because you're carrying on elk quarter, full deer. How do you do that better than what was out there today? And that was really, I would say that was the main challenge that we threw out to the engineers. So we worked with them for a year and a half, and then we worked with another engineering group for probably 6-8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we transitioned over to who actually makes our frame today over in Rexburg, third engineering group, and then we spent a couple years fine-tuning. But yeah, we spent 3.5 years just getting that right. And our first pack out with a prototype, which is crazy. Dennis and I took a trip of a lifetime over to New Zealand, and we were like, okay, no matter what, we're only taking our frame. And we pieced together everything else, right? But, which is crazy when you look back on that and think about that's what we did. But we went over there, and I shot a stag, and that was the first animal that we packed out. And then Dennis shot a stag, and then we got, I think you had a chamois, both shot tar. So kind of came back from that. I was like, okay, this is something. There's something to this frame. And then we just busted our butt for a while. So
Was that first frame carbon fiber?
it was, yeah. Yeah, so when we launched it, we were on generation 14. It took us 14 different generations designed to get to where we're like, okay, this is the frame.
And what was failing? Like, what was the issues with the previous 14 versions till you landed on the one that you were like, okay, this is it? Was it design? Was it materials?
All of it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was,
all the above.
It was like we had a cake without a recipe.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we kind of describe it to people.
Right.
It was, yeah, the materials. It wasn't strong enough. It flexed too much, and so we ended up not only using carbon fiber but some other things as well. By the time it was all said and done, but the angle of the arch in there, because we want to shape it to the human torso. The angle of the arch was something that we went 1 degree this way, 2 degrees this way, that we had to figure out, and that was several of those generations in there. It's funny how we came up with the shape of the frame.
I've got all those pictures from that.
Yeah, we got pictures of pieces of cardboard laying on the ground and strings, pieces of twine, looking at a shape and everything. And then not too long ago, I ran across the actual drawing that I did of the frame that is probably closest to what we have. It kind of looked like a ship anchor turned upside down and had some limbs on it and everything. And that's kind of what we worked from.
One of them actually looked like a dang wine glass, now that I think about it.
Yeah. Oh, we went all over the place with it. But yeah, finally getting there. And then maybe you want to share that January before we launched.
Dennis's blank moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like we said, we've been going every year to the expo, probably 4 or 5 years.
At least. As
with
a family.
we take our families down there and just loved it, right? How can you not love going to the expo? And we were at that point where we were close on the frame. Felt like the functionality was there. We were having some trouble with pulling the resin through, with getting air bubbles in it. And that was probably the biggest single challenge that we dealt with when it was all said and done. That took an act of God to get that thing corrected, because we lost so many hours of sleep working through that one. But so we're at the expo, and I just kind of walked off to registration. It's like, you know what, we're getting a booth, and went over and signed up for a 10 by 20 booth. I come back and we're walking around. I'm like, Dennis, got some good news, man. He's like, what's that? And I go, we got ourselves some booth for next year. He's like,
we got 1 year.
We got 1 year to figure it out.
1 year.
Yep, and that was a barn burner year. At that point,
Like a tight timeline to make you execute.
Isn't that true?
Always a good way to go.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sometimes you got to do it for sure.
got to do it.
Yeah.
So, and it was right up till the last 3 generations. Besides the resin, we were still working on that. But the last 3 generations were to get that notch right up on the upper limb to carry your rifle sling. That now Baronio has kind of changed the game on carrying quarters up there because of that. But that was the last 3 generations. And I would say we were probably 60 days out from the show when we finally got our first truly clean frame. So I mean, it was right down to the wire.
Crunch time.
It was crunch time. Yeah. And meantime, we were working on the hip belt design, shoulder strap design, the bag design. We only had 1 bag at that point, and we did have the pannier load carrier. So we had the 4K, we had the pannier load carrier, so you could turn it into a day pack if you wanted, and then you could obviously use the 4K. So.
Are you guys full time now? Initial Ascent, I assume. No,
We're still not full-time.
You're still working.
Yeah, me personally, I've still got a consulting business on the dairy side of things, and so
Right.
I'm working about 2 days a week basically on that, and then the rest of the time is Initial Ascent.
Gotcha. You as well.
Yeah, same. Still working.
Full time job. Right on.
Yep.
Yeah.
We really love what we do, though. I mean, it's not like one of those begrudging
Yeah.
jobs to go to. I love my clients. I've just got a handful left, and I love doing that still.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, just as you were talking, I was thinking the amount of time that you're probably putting into this, and then
Yeah.
also putting into
Yeah.
your job and your family, and it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Like it
It's
must
got
have been
4
a lot.
monitors going, at one time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I can imagine.
the time prioritization is a big thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, while you're talking about, like, all the tinkering you're doing on a backpack, like, you look at a backpack, you're like, okay, it's just simple, it's a frame, it's got some straps, it's got a waist belt, it's got a bag on the back, but, like, it's a lot more
There's
complicated.
so much to it.
Yeah.
If you were to print out, which we have, the instruction sheets on to make the frame, it's 89 pages long. I mean, not the frame, but to make the pack.
Yeah.
It's 89 pages
And
long.
you even talk about, like, the resin. I'm like, I didn't think of, all that stuff that goes into it. It's like, oh, yeah, just slap some things together, put some glue, and, here we go.
Yeah, for us to make a frame, and we do it different. We do a vacuum bag process, but it takes almost 4 hours to make one frame.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a very technically advanced frame. It only weighs 19 ounces.
Yeah.
In some points there's upwards of 19 layers in it. But yeah, it takes a long time.
and they have to figure all the little strap attachment points on there, like you're saying, the little wings coming off. It's like, a lot of
Yeah.
Actually, the biggest difference I've noticed with your guys' pack is those wings on the
Yeah,
frame itself.
they look different, and that was the thing. I remember the first time I saw your pack. I must have bought one the first year you guys had a booth.
Yeah, it was first or second
at the
year.
expo. I'd been either the first or second, but I remember that was the thing I thought was like you guys' frame looks different.
Yeah.
It's got those wings that kind of stick
Yeah.
out on it.
Well, for the generations, that was only 3 generations previous to the actual launches when you came up with those wings, like the shape of it.
Actually, the notches
The notch.
specifically.
for
So
that
that was designed, and Joe really pushed this. It had to be right. We wanted a place to put your rifle sling, so you could carry your rifle not on your shoulder.
Right.
Yeah, because it always falls off on your
Always
shoulder.
fine.
Right.
Always fighting it slipping.
And
You
it's
just have that one trap, like you have it up the entire time.
Right,
So the
and-
next
yeah.
thing you're just sore on the one side,
Yeah.
your shoulder up the whole way.
yeah.
So that was the primary purpose. Their thought behind that wing is
was.
the ability to throw your sling over. And
Well, I would say the notch on the wing. The wings
Yeah.
themselves, spread out was to spread the weight across our back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of frames out there that they're narrow, but then you feel the quarter in your back, right? And it just doesn't
I
carry
can
that
speak to
weight.
that extremely well.
Yeah,
They get real skinny and you can feel everything.
everything.
Yeah. Is to broaden that surface area, maximize the surface area closest to your bag. And that's the way we've designed our bags as well. I mean, if you look at our bags, they're a little bit more shallow than most bags. They're not shaped like a tube. So they're a little bit wider. And so, we wanted to maximize that surface area that load is going to be against your back. That's just physics, right?
Yeah. Well, there was a time there, the backpack industry, specifically for hunters with load shelves, it started to get really skinny and really like tall.
Right.
That tube design.
yeah, fit right behind you.
And everybody was chasing that. That's why I noticed, like, immediately I saw your guys, like, that is definitely different. That makes more sense to me when it's wider.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just spread it. And if you think of the design of the frame, it follows kind of like how we're built as humans, right? And if you took that bag and you flipped it inside out, it follows a V shape as well. So it's V'd and then it's wedged from the side. We're trying to get it so that it carries that load up higher on your back, but then spreads it out as well.
Yeah. I noticed it immediately.
Yeah, and then when Dave, when he started doing that, and that was fall of 2018 when Dave first got a hold of that, and it was interesting that actually in the summer he got a hold of it. He was at the Train to Hunt Nationals, and his pack that he was using, it was barreling. They had to strap 100 pounds on there and do a 3 mile, 1,500 foot vertical hike, and his was barreling on him, and his girlfriend at the time actually had one of our packs, and she's real tall, so she had the standard frame, and they fit in the same hip belt apparently, and so he used ours on that final event there at Train to Hunt and won it. And he called me the next week and was like, man, I just love this thing. And then he had this idea. He's like, you ever thought about hanging quarters from the upper limbs? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, no, first of all. I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, when I pack out animals, I'll try to do it in as few trips as possible. I said, oh, I get that as a guide. And he said, what I'll do is I'll take and I'll cut a stick or a pole, and I'll actually put it behind my neck, between my neck and my pack, and I'll put quarters on either side, and I'll haul it out that way. And he said, I think we could do that with your frame. Well, it wasn't too long after that. He had been working with our pack, and he sent us pictures of him hauling a whole mule deer out, and he had them on the sides and everything. And he said, tomorrow I'm going to do an elk. I almost peed myself just a little bit. But yeah, it wasn't meant to be like that. It wasn't designed for that.
Sure.
We didn't test that.
Wasn't
ever.
intended. Yeah, it wasn't intended for that.
But our engineer, he explains it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a diving board. If you take a diving board and you put it flat, it's got flags, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you turn it up this way, it's got all the strength in the world. And that's exactly the way that frame works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have the exact weight of a quarter or elk on the side of those wings, but Omar and I were spring bear hunting. We use those a lot to hang our raft off the side.
okay.
We're hiking around because we constantly had stream crossings and
Yep.
like, I always wanted to be accessible. Then obviously balance it on the rifle on the other side. Works really well for, I mean, it's not that much weight, but it's held that weight really great. Then we could pop it off really quickly and throw it all out. And like, it was great. What else did we carry on there? We had some game bags and stuff too, some other gear, but like,
Yeah, game bags, but I was just surprised at how we could pack out hides, for me, full camp.
You still don't have a microphone, by the way.
yeah, you gotta avoid talking too much over there.
Talking too much. You still
But-
haven't got yourself a microphone.
But yeah, like we were able to throw things on the wing and balance it off on the other side
Right.
with random pieces of gear that we had, and then the raft on the one side, and just make it really handy to pop the raft off and inflate it really quickly and jump across the creek. And
Yeah, and it's amazing when you put that on there. And we do this a lot when we're demoing. You know, we'll hang the 50 pounds on each side, and then we'll have 50 in the back. So somebody's got 150 on them. But then what we'll also do is we'll take 50 off one side, and you'll see them go like that. That thing's so well balanced. And if you think about it, if you're going to throw a 12-pound rifle on there, you will never feel it back there. And that's what we share with the folks. And it's like, yeah, you're right. I would never feel that rifle back there.
Yeah. And that's why, like, the shoulder carry in the rifle with your trap contracted.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Man, you get a headache from it.
Yeah.
Really, on that one side of your body, it's just pulling on your neck
Yeah.
the whole time. So to get it on the frame and actually counterbalance makes
Yeah.
a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And like that demo you guys do at the show, to actually hang it off of each of the wings, I mean, it's pretty like, kind of is your number one sales pitch.
It's kind of
It is.
it's kind of become the calling card
Yeah.
of Initial Ascent.
Yeah, because you put it on and people are like, holy shit.
Yeah. And they're standing straight up,
Yeah, standing straight up.
which is totally different than any other pack that we've ever tried.
Yeah. And that's that physics thing. You know, we're keeping that load just as close as possible to the center of mass. And so that's why they can stand up straight. And, you know, we feel like by the way our pack can carry heavy loads, that we are not only, there's a possibility that you can shave off a trip on your pack out, but we feel like, and especially folks our age that may not have, you know, too many years left, maybe it adds a year or two. Maybe our bodies can handle that because it is so efficient in carrying that weight comfortably.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to pack a Bronio style elk out, right? To carry two, I'm 53. I'm not going to carry 2 quarters on the side.
Would never guess that either. You got less gray than I did.
yeah.
But I mean, I'll do a deer, right? I can
Yeah.
do a deer all day long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you 100%. And we've heard that from folks, right? Over the years is like, man, it just allows me to recover quicker. I can get back out there. If my buddy gets something down, I can now go help them. So it's been pretty cool getting that kind of feedback on it.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like in regards to like the stiffness and comfortable of carrying out heavy loads, like you guys were on Brian Call's podcast, and you guys were talking about my moose and how the pack I had at the time, we threw some weight on there, and literally it felt like I was gonna destroy my like abs and lower back area because the pack just kept swaying back and forth. And then when I borrowed Brian's pack, which is your guys' pack, and then threw the moose on there, it was like night and day.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I could comfortably haul. Like that moose rack is so awkward. 72 pounds,
Oh,
just
man.
giant, tip to tip length, but it handled it. And the other pack felt like it was going to get snapped in half. Like it handled heavy loads comfortably. And I was like, I'm going to borrow your pack the whole entire time we're packing meat. It made that load so much nicer. We always talk about like heavy loads suck on every single backpack, but your guys' pack makes a heavy load tolerable. Like
Appreciate that.
really, really tolerable.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
I was going to ask, like, in terms of building a pack or, dealing with customers, which I'm sure that you guys do all the time, right? When you're building your pack, what were you chasing in terms of priority? Because, there's people that chase frame weight, like bag weight, they try to go as light as possible. Overall weight, durability, comfort. How do you rank those? And, like, what do you tell people when they're buying a backpack? Like, what should you chase?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've always gone after is how to carry. We want to be able to carry heavy loads more comfortably. That was number one.
Do you believe that? I mean, like, I'm just gonna shoot you straight. Do you really think that there are some packs carry heavy weight better? Like, I'm like at a point with backpacks where it's just I've used a ton, and I'm like, man, 100 pounds is 100 pounds, and it sucks.
Right.
When somebody tells me that, when I stack 100 pounds on somebody and they tell me, I'll actually, ask them, how much weight do you have on? Mm-hmm. And they tell me 20 to 30 pounds lighter than what they have on. There's something there.
Something to it.
Especially if that somebody is used to packing out a lot.
Right.
You get a lot of guys that don't know what 80 pounds feels like.
Yeah.
But when they're telling us that consistently with ours, you got to believe it. you
Yeah.
know?
So that was kind of the highest priority. You wanted to build a backpack that packed heavy weight more comfortably.
Yeah.
That was kind of the.
And where our pack is positioned, right? I mean, there's just some things that I think they go without saying. It has to be durable, right? Just for us to be in that premier category.
Yeah.
So that was a given for us, was durability. But simplicity was one of the other things that we really wanted to drive, was how do we make this easier? Because it never fails. When you get an animal down, it's usually at night. When you're trying to pack stuff up, it's raining, it's snowing, whatever, the weather's terrible. So you're trying to figure out, how do I put all this together to get out of here as quick as possible? And so many packs out there that we had tried and used were super complicated. It's like, this strap maybe goes here, does it go here? And if you're not using it all the time, people get confused, and then the pack ride's really bad. So we wanted to create something that was super simple and fast. So we feel like ours is probably one of the simplest to load and go. I mean, it's literally a couple buckles, slapped a pack on top of it, and you can roll. So that was a big priority, is the simplicity as well. And we went as far as color coding the bar tacks so that you can say orange goes to orange. I mean, we looked at the tin industry because we were like, how do we make this simpler?
Yeah.
And the tin industry's done a great job. So we looked at, and that's what we ended up doing, is just color coding it. So we really wanted to drive the simplicity. And then I would say the last big bucket was the modularity, because I want to be able to take this bag off, but if I'm going on a stone sheep hunt and I need an expedition style pack, I don't want to have to buy the whole new system. Just let me get a new bag, because the other, so that was, I would say, unless you disagree, I mean, those were kind of the main things we had always talked about, is this is what we want to go accomplish.
Yep.
With
And
the
we didn't ever set out to be the lightest out there.
I was going to ask you, how do you look at weight of a backpack? Because a lot of people talk about it.
We wanted to be light, but we didn't. We felt like that there was sacrifices that we weren't really willing to make if we tried to chase that weight. But we definitely didn't want to be heavy. We didn't want to have excess. And so, you've got your school of thought where it's the lightest pack on the market, and then you've got your school of thought where, golly, it's 9 pounds before I even load it up and get started. Definitely didn't want to be there, but we wanted to be durable, not the lightest, but just somewhere right there in the middle, closer to the lightest than. And we felt like if you had that and you had the durability and the stability of being able to carry out these heavy loads comfortably, we felt like that was the magic right
Gotcha.
there. Yeah.
How do you approach a hip belt?
Very carefully.
Very carefully. I mean, where do you start looking for foam, construction, width?
Yeah.
There's hip belts I have that I like. There's hip belts I hate.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in a hip belt, and like how does that add to the? And I think you keep going back to like comfort, but I'd be interested in hearing like what you think it is about your backpacks that make it a comfortable backpack with a lot of weight on it.
I think the foam, and Joe can speak to that. He's bought our raw goods for years, and I think surface area. Surface area is very, very important when you're talking about comfort. And so having something, if you take the wings, so the side pads, having something that has enough surface area that you can spread that weight across, but yet you don't have a webbing strap there that is so thin that it digs in. There's a happy marriage right there. But just having that to where it does comfort you, and it puts that surface area, kind of maximizes that around there without getting too big. Because there for a while we had people that would come and say, hey, it's when I put it on, it's kind of getting into my short ribs right there. And we've heard that, but also we wanted versatility with that, and so you can actually take our pads out and trim them up if you need to. But we don't suggest that because we want that to maximize that surface area, and then of course
You're talking the lumbar pads or the actual
Both.
hip belt pads?
You can do both.
Both.
Yeah, and we
You can
designed
access
it.
the hip belt foam pads?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, like Dave Baronio, he
Interesting.
ended up he trimmed his down in the backside a little bit because he just didn't like where it was pushing on him, so he went in and he shaved just a little bit
A little bit
down.
of an angle on
Yeah.
the back part.
Yeah. He's actually got glutes, and and apparently that's what he said to me. He says, I've actually got glutes, and so the bottom of that hip belt pad, he said, it just cuts into the top of my glute just a little bit. So I just took a little bit of a notch out of there, and he said it's perfect.
Yeah.
But the lumbar pad, that's another thing. Again, surface area, but we designed our lumbar pad to where you've got a 2-stage foam. You've got completely different types of foam in there, and we did that for comfort. You got a pillow top, and then you've got a 1-inch condensed foam in there.
Yeah, and we tested all. I mean, I literally have a cabinet full of foam, trying to figure out what's the right, because you want it to compress, you want it to be soft, but you got to have enough density there, right? So that when you are carrying 100 pounds, you're not feeling it as much. And we landed finally on part of our foam, most of our foam, shoulder straps, most of the hip belt actually comes out of the furniture industry. So if you think about furniture the last 20 plus years, right? I mean, that stuff it's soft, but it's gonna hold up, and it's not a cheap product. It's a very expensive product. But then to Dennis's point on the lumbar, the 2-stage, so we have a 1-inch pad back there of that high density foam, but then we do a 2-inch pillow top, so that if you do have the light loads, right, when you're carrying 30, 40, 50 pounds, you still want it to be comfortable. And that pillow top really kind of cushions that lower lumbar area. So foam has been an interesting ride trying to figure that out, which is crazy. You would think, foam. Yeah. But it has. And we actually made some minor tweaks here with what we launched this year. And I think it's proven to be even a little bit softer. It's still got this pretty close to the same density, but it's a little softer, so it does wrap a little bit better, because that was some feedback we'd gotten over the years is really dense.
We even had a foam conversation on the plane, just trying to tweak and make it better.
Somebody's eavesdropping just like these nerds. I don't know what these guys got going on, but they are complete nerds.
When you get into like truly building something, you start to realize the conversations aren't in what you're building. It's like in stuff that you never realized you were
Right.
talking about, like furniture foam.
Right, exactly, man.
Thinking outside the box is something that we've tried to.
It's without fail when you're building something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing. We always go to the outdoor retailer show, always looking for what's that next product, fabric wise or foam wise or webbing wise, trying to figure out how do we do it, because we would love to build a pack that's sub 4 pounds that you could carry, but we haven't been able to figure that out yet. We're going to continue to look at options, but yeah,
I mean, yeah, but it's physics and dynamics, right? It's the age-old saying mass moves mass, and proper points of contact make it better.
Yeah.
It's like lifting weights or anything. Heavier you are, the more you're going to lift. Proper
Right.
points of contact is going to help you. I mean, it does get down to science. at
Science,
some point, though, where 1 pound, a 1 pound pack isn't going to be able to carry
Yeah.
like a 7 pound pack.
Right.
Not to that, the whole ultralight movement, it got to a point where it got too light. Yeah, like some of them even admitted that it was just too light. Like
Yeah.
They were pushing the limits too much. It just doesn't carry mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it feels good empty or really low weight,
Right.
it looks good.
low profile,
Those every day you're carrying light, but then when you throw that weight on there, you're gonna suffer, and then you try to recover and go help your buddy pack something out the next day. Like that's when it starts to catch up with you.
yeah,
Yeah, it gets to a point of diminishing returns for sure.
Yeah, and that's how all movements are. You cross the line.
Yeah.
And then you come back.
and when you've crossed it.
Oh yeah,
You know.
for sure.
Customer's going to tell you.
Definitely cross out.
Yeah,
We're not through hikers on a backpack trail.
right.
You know what I mean? It's like at some point, it's going to have to hold up to 80 plus pounds.
Yep.
Has to.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a different beast, different game.
Yeah.
Yeah, backpacking, the PCT is different than trying to haul out a hind quarter off an elk. Yeah.
All of us are dumb enough to press the limits at some point of like, I don't want to come back, so I'm gonna do the 120 right now.
Yeah, I've had a whole cow elk in a backpack. It wasn't pleasant. It was not a party.
We're all dumb enough. It's like, yep, we're gonna do
Yeah,
this.
that's been probably 15 years ago.
Smart.
Yeah, not a great decision. I was curious. I want to get into like some like customer service type stuff because we obviously have you here. So I would like to talk a little bit at some point about just like how you help people buy a backpack. Like what should they look for? Frame height, hip belt size. I think you have different options, right, as far as like frame heights. So I want to get into that, but I did want to ask before we jump on, like backpack, hunting backpacks, especially the time you guys got in, it's like a busy space, right?
Yeah.
There's like definitely some well-established companies that are in the market, and it seems like every year I go to one of these expos or someplace, there's a few more kind of, plucking at it.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you guys think? Why'd you have the balls to build a pack?
I think we're too dumb not to.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that people think
Yeah.
about. I have a billion ideas that I'm like, I should do that sometime, but I never do. But like, what was it? It's a busy space. Like, what gave you the go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're hunters, right? And we constantly are looking for something better. And we felt like that no matter what we did, we could go in there, and if we worked hard enough, we could come up with something better. And just the fact that we entered the space, all hunters win because everybody else is going to be forced because of the competition. No matter how big or small you are, you're going to be forced to be better. And so ultimately, as a hunter, we win.
Yeah.
And we got into a space too within the backpack hunting space where carbon fiber really had some bad press.
Had a bad name.
Right?
Well, it's the ultralight stuff. They
Yeah.
were just going too light on everything.
I remember. So I was with, you guys know Steve Opat probably, right? He was using one of your packs. We went on a moose hunt in Alaska, and that was kind of my introduction to your packs. We killed a moose, packed it out, and I remember the thing that like struck me that'll live with me is we opened up his frame, right, and we had his carbon fiber Initial Ascent frame laying out there, and we were using it for a cutting board. So we were cutting moose back straps and tenderloins on the carbon fiber cutting board, and then we were throwing it on the stove and cooking up and eating. And that was kind of my introduction. And then I think I bought one the next year I saw you at the expo. But that was kind of like my introduction. I was like, oh, that's sick. He's using a cutting board.
Cutting board.
But carbon fiber had kind of a bad name. And I remember thinking like, that's carbon fiber? Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah. But you look today, right? That's pendulum swung now where you're seeing more and more packs going back to it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few companies that said they would never go to carbon fiber, and this is why, several years ago, and lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah, I remember coming home from that trip and being like, yeah, this guy has this carbon fiber frame backpack, but the carbon fiber it's beefy.
Yeah.
Like it is thick. I don't know how thick it is. How thick is it? Do you know off the top
It's
of your head?
almost a quarter of an inch in some areas.
Yeah, almost a quarter of an inch.
Because we have 19s the most in the frame, but there's some other areas where we have 16 layers just based on what we needed to do in there. So it's going to vary, but it's close to a quarter of an inch.
So different parts of that frame have different layers or different thicknesses of carbon fiber?
Yeah, and going different directions.
In different directions. And different carbon fibers. Yeah. Because you can have unidirectional tracks. I mean, there's all different kinds of ways you can take a fiber and you can, the way we build it up, we can actually have those fibers going exactly the direction we want to increase it, or we can do 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees. Our engineer figured all this up. Dennis and I didn't figure this out.
That's right.
But we tested the heck out of it.
Yeah.
And carbon is an amazing product. Absolutely amazing.
I'm thinking of like my carbon fiber plated shoes that I run in all the time. Like they're stiff one way, and you flip them around, and you can you can bend them the other way.
Yeah.
Like, it is pretty crazy that it's strong as all hell, and then really easy to move around if you flip it the other way. Like it's a pretty cool product.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Really is, and that it's kind of that I-beam. That's the way our engineer described it to us. It's an I-beam thing where, it's the space in between that creates the strength.
Yeah.
So is he just building up frames for you, just farming them out to you, and you guys are throwing on 100 pounds of it and going for a hike?
Yeah, we were scattering them all over
All
the
over
country.
the place.
Oh, really?
And
Yeah.
having people test them and everything. And it was interesting because every time we would get a break or a failure, it didn't take but one. And because we knew that, if there was one, there was going to be others. And so we would immediately have them send it back to us, send it into the engineer, have him analyze it,
Yeah.
and then we would come up with a game plan. And this was even after 2018, after we launched, when we had, we would have a frame, because our frame has a lifetime warranty. If you run over it with your pickup truck, and it breaks, you call us and we'll replace
Just
it.
record it so we can post it as a cool video.
Yeah, exactly. but yeah, every frame over the years, we would, somebody would, have a load lifter or something snap, and that seemed to be the history of these carbon fiber frames. There was a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so we didn't take that lightly at all. Every single one of them that would have a failure in a certain point, we would send to the engineer. Got to fix this. It only took one of each time, and now it's been a long time.
Long time. And it's amazing. The one group of hunters that really wreak havoc on a frame are shed hunters.
Yeah.
I mean, they
yeah.
put it to the test. Those upper limbs. So we have reinforced that several times because of shed hunters. They put they get this giant rack, all these racks back there, and it just
Big,
pulls so
awkward
much
pile.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. A weird thing to carry around.
it is. Are you guys shed hunters?
No.
I have been. Yeah, I put a lot of time and effort into it when I was younger.
Yeah.
I'm not a grown-up Easter egg hunter.
Shed hunters are a different breed.
I was going to college. I'd pay my car payment with shed.
Is that right?
hunters. Yeah, every month. Yeah, I'd go out, and I had a job from like 4 to 8 in the morning. I was a janitor, and then I'd go to school. I loaded all my classes before noon, and then I would peel out and just like till dark every day, and then weekends. Didn't have any kids, so I always picked up a pile of sheds, pay for our car payment.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good.
We came out of the hills from our bear hunt this spring, and we had noticed as we're coming down, there's shed hunters that went and they had parked down from my truck, and they had come off with a big load, both of them, and they're loading up when we're coming down, and they didn't see us till the last minute. They saw us and they started just yard sailing stuff inside that truck, packing it up, it was unbelievable. They did not want to visit. They didn't want
I
to.
think shed hunters are more protective of a spot than even the
Man.
hunters that are actually hunting a live animal. Because those animals will come back kind of year in and year out, and you find those individual little pockets. Yeah, those are highly protected. Shed hunters, I have a buddy that's like the most diehard shed hunter I know. That guy would lie to his wife. I'm guaranteed about where he's. I mean, I've heard some just wild stories about this dude going to great lengths to protect his shed spots. Yeah, or pick up a bull that he's like scouted. Yeah. Just they're a different breed.
But there's so much money behind it, I mean, a lot of guys
It's a
make their
lifestyle.
living doing that.
Absolutely.
They are tough on equipment though.
Man, they are.
They are.
Boots. They will torch boots.
Oh yeah, side hilling the whole time.
Well, that and it's the time of year where like everything is muddy or wet, snowy, so you're constantly like wet boots every night, drying them out. It's that like flux of springtime.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely go through boots and packs. That's interesting. Where do you guys build your packs?
Yeah, so
So it's all over. I mean, we make our frames up in Idaho.
Okay.
We've always made them over in Rexburg, and then we manufacture all over. We do some in Utah. We do some in Idaho. We do some overseas. So we're global now. in
It's like
manufacturing.
individual parts and pieces. And then do you have like an assembly?
Yeah, we do it at our shop. So
Okay.
everything comes in. We do 100% of the assembly there, and so we moved into our new facility in December. So we do all the assembly up there in Caldwell, Idaho, and ship everything out from there as well.
You guys in there building packs in the evenings then?
heck yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, early mornings.
Yeah.
How long does it take to build a pack? Like assemble it all?
We've gotten pretty good at them. We haven't timed it lately, but I think it's like 5 minutes or something like that.
Dang. Oh wow, a lot quicker than I
Yeah.
thought. It's like
It is quicker.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we kind of pre-assemble now. We're trying to get it more so that it's instead of a made to order, we can pick, pack, and ship it. To get it. So We've been building up and trying to get it so we can move through that faster because we get in the busy season, man. I mean, you start, as you guys know, trying to fill all these orders, which is a blessing. We've got to figure out how to get more efficient. So that seems to be working pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
Do you guys think the backpack market's kind of perplexing in that people buy backpacks so
man.
often?
Well, and it's
To me,
such
and
a-
vinyl harnesses. That's another
Yeah,
one. I'm like, well, how many vinyl harnesses does a person need? You know what I mean?
Always trying to find the next
Always.
best
Yeah,
thing.
I'm always
Yeah.
so interested in the number of backpacks, and I'm guilty. Like if I went in my basement right now, I would show you, 15 different backpacks from
Yeah.
5 different companies. It's just so perplexing to me. Like, why does everybody need so many backpacks?
Gear
Gear
junkies.
junkies. That's right.
That's where
Yeah.
it starts.
Yeah.
Man. Yep.
It's so funny to me. How many employees do you guys have? How are you doing that? How big of a facility do you have?
Not a very big
No.
facility
So
at
it's
all.
Dennis and I, and then we have a full-time person that works there. Pretty much full-time.
You have like a walk-in shop.
We do.
Somebody
Yeah.
can walk in, try on a pack.
Yeah.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then we've got another person that's helping us do some other stuff. So, yeah, it's mostly really just 3 of us.
Gotcha. Wow.
You guys are also handling like social media and all that themselves.
We do have somebody that handles
Yeah.
social media, Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram.
That can be a lot.
Yeah, I typically, if somebody DMs us, I'm typically the one getting back to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be a lot for
Yeah.
sure.
We ended up, I guess it was probably about 3 years ago, we kind of divided. It's like, okay, because for a long time we were both doing everything, and then it just gets to that point where you're just like, we got to be more efficient. How do we do this? So Dennis took more of the consumer facing. I took the back end, the business facing, the manufacturing and those kinds of things. And that was a good move for us, right? To be able to kind of, here's what we're going
Divide
to
and
do.
conquer.
Yeah.
You guys got kids though, man. Free labor.
Right. That's
We've
true.
used a little free labor. That's for sure.
Yeah. I got a
Best part about having kids.
Yeah, I think the very first time we went to the expo, we were all in a garage, Dennis's garage, and we had my family, his family, and everybody's building. I've got a picture of just a row of kids building packs.
It was awesome.
yeah, it was awesome.
Like free labor.
That's right.
I'm telling you, man.
I wanted to ask you about the logo. So that was like one of the first things I noticed. Like, who came up with the logo?
Yeah,
And do you have a name for it?
The Mountain
That-
Dude.
The Mountain
The
Dude.
Mountain
He's
Dude?
trademarked. Yeah, we trademarked him.
Yeah. So I had a friend that she did graphic design, and I'd worked with her before on some other projects, and we had this business going. I think we already have the LLC yet, or
Yeah,
was
we did.
Yeah. So this was early 2015, and I just told her, I said, hey, here's a bunch of logos. We've got this company, and I told her a little bit about it, and I said, here's a bunch of logos. These are kind of the ones I like or that I'm drawn to as, I forget how old I was then, but, I was 30s. And so she comes back with a bunch of stuff. And, there was antlers and all kinds of the mountains, your typical stuff.
Yeah,
And just nothing really turned us on. And she sent this last one to me. She says, okay, and she prepped me before. She said, okay, I'm going to send one more to you, but I don't want you to pass judgment on it yet. So she sent it to me, and it was this Mountain Dude with the logo. And I was like, why did she send me the Burger King guy? That's the first thought that I had. And I'm like,
He's the king.
yeah, he's the king. Yeah. And his hair wasn't a crown, it was mountains. And I'm like,
Dude,
hey.
if anything Burger King's done right, it's the king because their food's terrible. But the
Yeah.
actual marketing of it himself is amazing.
I know.
Yeah, the king's awesome.
And now it's just BK.
That's right.
Yeah.
Golly, and that awful guy that sounds like Will Smith. Yeah. This thing's, that's another story for another day. But anyway, she sent that to me, and I was like, golly, people are going to ask me, who is this?
Yeah.
What does
all
this
the
stand
time.
for?
I bet.
And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to sleep on it. And
Well, you sent it to me too.
I
that
sent it
night,
to
yeah.
you the next day.
Yep.
Because
Was it with the name Initial Ascent, or was that a name you guys had come up
It was
with? Or
pretty close to that.
It was
right
pretty
there.
close to this.
Gotcha.
Pretty close.
Yeah, and so I couldn't sleep hardly that night. And when I finally did get to sleep and woke up the next morning, I couldn't get, the first thing on my mind was that Mountain Dude. I was like, crap.
He's in your head.
There's got to be something to it. And from a marketing standpoint, maybe this is a good thing. So I sent it over to Joe, and I think I told you exactly. I said, show this to your family, but don't pass judgment on it yet.
Yeah, it was almost a carbon copy, right? I mean, I
Right.
woke up the next day, I was like, that's the one.
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation
Yeah.
starter. I know it was like one of
Yeah.
the very first. It was one of the very first things I noticed when I looked at your logo of the pack. I was like, oh, what's that dude? It's like an old dude.
Yeah, it stands out for sure.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how many people they will come up with, is that you? Is that you? Who is that? And it's interesting because, we've talked a lot about that, and it's all of us, right? I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
When you think about
Your
it.
internal spirit.
It's not Omar because he has a beard.
Definitely not.
It's definitely not Omar. That'll never be you. You'll never be a
One
mountain
day,
dude,
Omar. One day.
You'll never be it.
It does speak to like the internal spirit though of all of us wanting to be mountain men.
Right.
That's what I think of it as.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a Mountain Dew tattoo?
No.
No? Gonna get one?
No, that's
You're in Vegas.
That's the perfect way to make a business fail. is to get a tattoo.
Same way with the marriage. If you get the name tattoo, don't do that.
Time to get it, and it's definitely not why you're in the business.
Right.
Exactly.
There you go.
After
Good
the fact.
advice.
Yeah.
It's not even a.
My window decal's fine for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to us about getting fitted for a pack. As far as like size, what pack should somebody buy based on the type of hunt they're doing? As far as pack fit, what do you recommend? What kind of questions do you guys field from customers?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we always ask people is, what style hunting do you guys do, right? Are you hunting from your truck? And if you are, okay, then we'll gear them towards a day pack or a 3K. If they're going to do anywhere from, say, 4, 5, 6, 7 nights, then the 5K is a perfect size for them. It's about 5,200. So the 3K is right at 32. Then we jump up to a 52. And then we've got the 8,200, which is the Expedition, the AK. So if they're going 10 plus days, we push them, that would be the pack for you. And it's amazing how many people, when we talk to, they don't know how to fit a pack. I mean, guys that have done a lot of hunting, they don't really understand. And it's one of those things where so many people will just throw a pack on empty, and they'll be like, oh yeah, it feels good, right? And we
Love
won't
that
even
empty pack.
The
Best pack going is the
Yeah.
empty pack to the trailhead, right?
Yeah. So we won't even let anybody try a pack on. If they start trying, like, no, we'll pull it off. Like, nope, you're not going to put that on. But we typically will say, hey, you need to put at least 30 pounds in a pack just so you can feel it settle down a little bit. And we do a small, medium, large belt. So we feel like we cover the full gamut there with the belt system. And we redesigned our belt this year so that it locks down. There's just no slippage. And we can cover pretty much any waist size with that. But our goal is we want to drive 80% of the weight to the hips. If we can do that and get only maybe 20% up top, then that's going to be a comfortable pack for everybody. And the way our frame is set up is we have 6 torso length adjustments, so we can move that yoke up and down 6 different places.
Shoulder harness yoke.
Yep.
Yeah. And those are slits in the frame, right? That you
Correct.
can move that.
Yep. You can move it up and down. And then we have 3 load lifter adjustments as well. So, I mean, Brady, how tall are you? 6?
8 feet.
Yeah. So you.
Yeah.
Tall, and on a good day I'm 5'6", right? But you and I can run the same frame, so we can make that much of adjustment with the frame.
How tall are the frames?
25 and a half.
So 25 and a half across the board. Do you do two different sizes or just one size?
We do. So then we have a youth female frame as well that we sell, which that's a whole nother discussion when you think about the females within the industry and the lack of opportunities from high-end gear. But yes, we offer the 2 different sizes, and our goal though is we really focus heavily on making sure that's riding properly on the shoulders. We did a video on a pack fitting on how to make sure to do it, but if you kind of slide 2 fingers underneath that shoulder strap where you got friction on top, that's a pretty good indicator as, okay, that's a pretty good fit, right, on them. But so many people today, they just throw it on and go. If they would just take a little bit of time, educate themselves, man, they can make their pack out so much more comfortable.
Where should a hip belt set on your hips?
Great question. Yeah, we like to say the point of your hips. So those are, there's 2 structures on your hip bone. So you've got your actual hip bones that are on the side, that iliac crest, right? And
We use that word all the time.
Yeah, that's
Love that.
that's on the side. Yeah, and then the points of your hips are actually down a little bit, and they're more around front. And so we just tell them to take the points of their hips and put that as a starting place directly in the middle of that hip belt pad, and that's a great place to start. And for most people, that works. Ladies, that doesn't work. They're going to ride it about an inch, maybe even 2 inches higher, just because of how their hips are structured. But that hip belt placement, that's where it starts. You
Publicly say men and women are different.
I did. I did, and I think my wife would be proud of me. Yeah, because she was the one that actually informed me of that. She said, my hips are going to be different than yours. How so? And then she says, well, I'm going to ride it about an inch taller. And so anyway, that was some good information for the future. But the hip belt placement is the number one thing, in my opinion. You've got to get that right. You've got to get it secure. I see so many people that don't tighten their hip belt enough to start with. And they put a ton of weight on their shoulders. Now, the beautiful thing about our pack and how it's adjustable is the fact that you can, if you put that hip belt in the right spot, there's a marriage between your shoulder straps and your load lifters. And you can put as much as you want on your hips, because we've got the big muscles down there. But you can also put as much as you want on your shoulders because your hips are going to get tired, especially with heavy loads. So that marriage between those two things, you've got the option of running more on your shoulders. I mean, heck, if I'm walking uphill, I like to put more on my shoulders and less on my hips so I can stride out a little bit. Now, my stride is going to be a little different than Brady's, but I can still stride out.
You should go to the airport with him. It's so annoying.
No thanks.
I'm always adding in Omar.
It's the most annoying thing ever. He's
I'm
just
walking slow, I feel like.
He's walking. He's covering so much distance so easily.
You should join the walking races.
It's ridiculous. You could, one of those Olympic
Have
walkers.
you seen that?
Walkers, the ones where
They
fly.
They really get going with their
It's
hips.
I
crazy.
still don't understand how that's not jogging. But
Well, because there's one foot always
Have you-
has to be on the ground.
Have you ever looked at the times?
it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's hard to fathom.
That's why. How's it not jogging?
I don't know.
Is that what the rule?
It looks way.
Yeah.
It doesn't look.
Yep.
It looks weird.
Brady should win that.
I'm sure
you
training.
might. You might have
I
to.
missed a calling in life. Should have been a speed walker instead of a hunter.
So Brady, when you're hunting do you choose your hunting partners by the length of stride that they can take? And does that frustrate you?
It does. I would rather get there fast and be able to take my pack off than go slow. I hate going slow. Going slow is more painful because I'm pulling that weight longer. So I like to stride out. That's why I need someone savage like Omar. Who just can go.
Since 2015.
So lately it's become I like hunting with younger people because they can just go, or people that might have shorter legs, trail.
Yeah, I walk slow.
Sure, walk slow.
Short legs.
Yeah, I did
slow
too.
walker.
Omar told me I was fast in New Mexico. I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
No.
The
guess you're up.
the benefit of it though is since I walk really fast and hike fast, I get to the top of the mountain quicker. If we play, whoever spots it gets to shoot it. A lot of time that benefits the guy who gets to the top first and starts glassing first.
Yeah, you and another guy I know are just like that.
Yeah.
And I think you've hunted with him before.
You are doing adjustment though as you're hiking. Like uphill, you'll change, kind of shift
do.
your load, so you
Shift it up
loosen
and
your hip
down.
belt up, put a little bit more weight on your
Absolutely.
shoulders.
And when I go downhill, it's just the
More-
opposite.
more on your hips.
More
Yeah.
on my hips because lower center of gravity. I know that's hard to believe with me, but I do have that as an advantage.
I do think a lot of people forget to do that. Like they don't realize you can adjust as you're going.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
just a set it once at the trailhead and leave it the whole entire time. You should be moving things around as you're going.
Yeah,
Yeah, how often? How often are you adjusting your pack?
A lot.
it's whatever your body tells you,
all the
right?
time?
Yeah. Like you
Yeah.
said, uphill, downhill, like, put more weight into it. I'm doing something different to it. Like, yeah, a lot.
You're not just cutting it out.
No.
I get really lazy with that. Where I'll just
Yeah.
pick it out. Let it go.
Just go.
I don't want to deal with it. Just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting older though. Maybe I should get a little smarter. That's probably not gonna happen.
Gotcha. What are the kinds of questions that customers that come to you with as far as fitting of packs? We talked a little bit about size. You said you offer how many 4 sizes of packs currently?
We
You have
do.
a
with the
day bag,
pack,
a 3K, a 5K, and an 8K.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes it pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Your guys' little day bag's pretty slick. It's got like a load shelf with a top lid, right?
That's great.
And then like a sleeve on the front part of the load shelf.
Yeah.
Is that what most guys are buying for shed hunting? They like that little day pack.
They love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
For that aspect of it. But it's funny you say that because we leave that pannier on. We never take it off our pack.
Mm-hmm.
So especially early season, we'll pack in, take the big bag off, right? And we just run day pack. We'll go lid, meat shelf, because you can do everything you need is right there. You got your kill kit, your torch, or whatever you need for the day. and you're, I mean, super light, flexible. So yeah, it's a neat little system.
Yeah.
And with that pannier too, I started doing where I toss my game bags behind
Mm-hmm.
that. Great place to store them. Why put them in the internal part of my bag, taking up that space? And I just smash them against the frame, against the pannier.
Yep.
Because I only need them when I kill.
Yeah,
So why do I need to touch them every single day when I'm emptying my pack out? That's
Really,
it's a good idea.
yep.
Do all your packs come with a load shelf then?
They don't. It's actually an added accessory. It used to come with it, but
Gotcha.
yeah, it's an added accessory.
And does it go from frame to frame or frame to bag? Does that make sense? Frame to frame. Gotcha. So you can adjust the height of that load.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm tracking. And then also you have the ability, you already said, but you can adjust the height of the load lifters depending on your torso.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And it works for me because I have a 22-inch torso.
Not to brag or anything, huh?
Yeah,
Long torso.
I don't even
Humble brag.
It's probably not that long.
Humble brag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little soft.
Yeah.
Try to sneak it in when I can.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you're tall.
And fast.
Except for some of the guys on the internet every now and then. Like, there's no way you're 6'5". You're more like 6'1". I'm like, bro, stand next to me. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, the internet's so funny sometimes. Like, why do we have an argument right now about how tall I am?
You'd actually physically dunk on them and dunk on them on the internet.
It's a weird thing to argue about.
Guys on the internet, and I'm like, oh yeah, you always make animals look small. Someone's comments, I'm like, yeah, I'm 6'5". It's the thing. And I'm not a giant weight dude, but I'm a tall dude. It's like, I hold up a mountain lion, it's gonna look a little smaller probably than most people. And, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they roast me about it, that I'm actually not tall.
Everybody you're 6'1".
That's what I'm gonna do. You know, Brady's 6'5", no, he's more like 5'11".
He's like,
I'm not even sure he's 6. It's a stretch. All right, you guys got tags this year? Like, what do you guys do as far as hunting goes? I mean, do you still get time to go hunting, or is it getting so busy that you have a hard time getting away?
Man, I'll tell you what, when we first got into this business, it was like, man, we're going to get to hunt all the time. This is going to be awesome.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reality.
It is weird. You really got to prioritize. And then, of course, like we're ages our kids and that sort of thing. You just things
Life
get in the way,
happens,
right? Yeah. So, but every year, and I told Joe this morning, it's like, my goal is to hunt a few more days this year than I hunted last year, and next year it's going to be the same thing. And so I think we're getting to a point in the business where we're starting to be able to do that a little bit more. And so yeah, I've got a Wyoming antelope tag, and I usually try to do that every 2-3 years or something. Doing the general stuff in Idaho, and then I've actually got a whitetail tag in Iowa, which I'm pretty excited
Oh,
about.
nice.
Yeah, so that's
Played the point game.
I think it was like 4 or something. So
solid.
yeah,
So you have a good tag yet?
it's a good tag. Yeah, so we're excited about that, and I think I was telling you, Trail, that I stopped whitetail hunting for a long time.
Yeah.
Being from the South, I grew up doing it and eating whitetail all the time, and we always had deer in the freezer and whatnot, especially with a buck a day.
Yeah.
So, but I finally, last November, I went to Missouri and killed a whitetail there, and took it home and cooked up backstraps for my wife. And after that meal, she says, I don't care what you have to do, but you need to be whitetail hunting every year. Yes,
Twist my
ma'am.
arm.
Yeah, twist my arm. So
No, don't make me.
really enjoyed it.
Huh.
And so yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So a few more.
Yeah,
days.
whitetails are fun. Yeah, I got to get more into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Do you have opportunities going hunting this
You know,
fall?
this is an off year for me.
Oh, really?
Coming out of the expo, 2 days later, I had knee surgery.
Oh, no.
And I've had 3 since then. So, yeah, I've had 6 knee surgeries now.
What'd you do?
So when I was probably 24, I was playing softball, running to first base, and the guy, he really didn't know how to play the bag. So at the last minute, he stepped over the bag and turned to catch and just locked my leg extended, and it shattered it. It broke it in well over 100 places, tore all the ligaments.
Holy shit.
So yeah, that was.
So I didn't play softball.
That's why I don't play.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
That's my oldest
Yeah.
is 19. He's like, hey, you should get on a softball team with us. I was like,
No, don't do it.
I kind of want to go hunting.
Yeah.
Rather hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've dealt with it. I had surgery, I think that was in 96, had it again in 98, and then 2009, and then had 3 with this last round because it didn't go well. But now it's doing good, so I'm getting the strength back. I'm just delaying the inevitable of the knee replacement as long as I can. So So yeah,
Wow.
so this was the year I was kind of like, well, I'm not going to waste all my points on something if I'm not 100%.
Smart.
You go whitetail hunting, sit in the tree stand.
Could do that.
There you go.
Could do it. I mean, I'll do over the counter, which is one of the great things up in Idaho. I won't elk hunt this year unless I'll do rifle, maybe in November, and then I'll do deer in October. But
You can call Dennis to come pack one out for you.
I'll do it too. I love it.
he owes me one.
I do.
Yeah.
So-
You got to have a couple of buddies that are pack buddies, right?
You do.
That you can call. Those
Yep.
always come in handy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. Brady's been using the pack for what, a year? Last year? First year?
Full year, yeah. Used it on the moose hunt a little bit interchangeably when I could borrow Brian or Ryan's pack from him and steal them, and then was really jealous, and I was like, I have to get one of these, and then used it on the bear hunt recently, and been hiking around with it a ton, and like I said, it when you guys say it holds heavy weight comfortably, it does, and that's what I want because everyone knows again, and I get made fun of it. I carry a 14-pound rifle. I
You
carry
have to have that strong wing on the side. I forgot.
exactly. I carry, the Eyes of God, the Swarovski 115 BTX setup everywhere, and I usually carry an ATX as well because I want to be able to digiscope. So I carry a lot of weight, and I want to be able to carry it comfortably every single day because it comes down to it. A weapon and optics are what help me kill. Backpack can help me pack it out, and I want to be comfortable every single day carrying heavy loads and throw a raft on when we go bear hunting and all that stuff. And it's like I was sold since the day I put it on when I was in Alaska. Like it's solid.
You guys know off the top of your head price points for your packs?
Yeah, so we're with the day pack. If you go, that starts at $539,
Okay.
and then if you go to the 3K or $644, the 5K $699, and then you've got the big one, the 8K is at $795. And I think Brady, you said that's the only pack that should exist.
I
Right?
wanted to touch on that eventually, but I hope I don't do anything that you guys wouldn't suggest. But I suggest everyone just get the AK. You can always compress it down.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to buy one, why not just buy the biggest? Doesn't weigh that much more than anything else, and you have all that capacity to carry extra stuff. But then the problem is too, you carry extra stuff if you're not cautious about it. You'll throw everything in the kitchen sink.
You put stuff in it.
Yeah.
You got to be cautious
Box
about
of
it,
fruit
right?
roll-ups, add that.
Yeah, but that one's the best size because you never know if you're going to go on a late season hunt. What late season hunt? The only thing that really changes is layering systems. You actually add more clothing, so that's going to take up more room in your backpack, and you might need,
I think their day pack is a cow elk killing machine.
yeah.
That is like a day hunt cow elk packing
Machine.
son of a buck. Yeah,
There you go.
Yep.
it really is.
And now we've got that cub attachment that you
Yeah.
can attach to that, and all of a sudden you've created a late season monster, for that cow elk hunt, that day hunt.
Yeah, but I kind of wanted to talk about you guys' like bag design, like pockets, zippers, all that, the top lid, because some of the stuff in the past, you always get the floppy top lid, when you don't have enough gear in your bag. It's the worst. That's why trailers didn't use a top lid most of the time.
That's why I don't use it either. I just put it in
Because
the pack. I put it in
top lids always work well when your pack's fully extended up, snow collar and everything, and sits on there nice and pretty. But then you get to camp, you dump all that stuff, dump your sleeping bag, all that gear, and then you're going out day hunting from there. And then your top lid's not sitting correctly because it does nothing to attach onto, so it just flops down the back. But you guys solved that by having it attached to the load lifters up on top, and that was just such an amazing feature for me that my top lid's not going to flop around anymore.
Yeah, and you run with the day pack empty and it doesn't move.
Yeah, it just sits there where it needs to be. And I'm
anti-floppy tops too.
We don't have floppy
Absolutely.
top.
no floppy top. Because I do like a top lid. Like
We
even
need
a
a
lot of people
t-shirt.
say that it's. I think Trail defines the top lid as a junk drawer of backpack.
Junk drawer backpacking.
Because you just throw everything in there. But I like throwing everything. I like having my gloves, my ammo, my shooting sticks, like earring protection, everything.
It's like your junk drawer in your kitchen. You probably got a couple screwdrivers in there. You got some tape.
Throw it all in.
Yeah.
Just like some nails, whatever else.
The random shit.
Yeah, random.
I love
Yeah.
zipping that thing off too and taking it in the tent because I've got everything. I
That's
need
what
for
I
the
do,
night,
too.
for the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to like walk us through like the design of that, the pockets for a spotter, like to hold the rifle on there. Like it's a cool design.
How do you approach bag design as far as pockets? Because you probably get both. You probably get people that are like, I want a lot of organization, and then you got guys like, I just want a main bag, nothing else I can figure out on my own. How do you guys approach it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we wanted enough pockets to stay organized, and enough pockets that were going to be truly useful for certain things, but not enough pockets or not too many pockets to where you're going to lose a bunch of stuff. Because we both had those.
Right. It's just like, where is it? Right. You're just digging. Right. So I think for us, we, like you said, I mean, not quite quote minimalist, but functional minimalist, if that's such a thing.
Yeah.
Where we just wanted, as Dennis said, dedicated pockets. We got a dedicated tripod. We got a dedicated spotter, right? We did end up putting an internal pocket on this one because there was enough requests. I think that was probably the biggest thing is, as customers would say things about the bag, like, hey, we don't like the drawstring. We want a U-shaped zipper, right? Okay, mental check. Next round, we're going to do that roll top. We want the roll top design. So I think it was getting all that feedback, and we just kept it as we started redesigning this new bag offering, and then put those things into action. And then we tested it, right? We had, Lampers, and we had Brian gave us a ton of feedback. Baronio gave us a ton of feedback. We had others out there testing it, giving us feedback on, hey, do you like this style? Is the pocket big enough?
Yeah, we really listen to the guys that get it done and that are out there, for days and days on end. Because unfortunately, Joe and I aren't able to do that, and we want to be able to do that at some point. But the guys, like yourselves, that are out there all the time, that's who we need to listen to. And so we've been really open about that. If there's a theme that continues to come back from guys that are using it all the time, that, hey, this needs to change, we take it
egos
very
aside.
seriously.
We put the egos aside.
Absolutely.
And it's,
Yeah. So, and you mentioned that lid, that, there's little notches on the lid. Before 2024, before our latest version, we had these notches, and Joe and I don't know, it was just kind of it was a painful deal because we knew we wanted the lid to not be floppy, right? But how was it going to sit up there? And that was a big challenge. And so for years, we actually just slanted those notches and just hung them. They were designed to hang on the corners, and then you tightened the rear lid straps. It worked, but we were never really satisfied with that.
And people would take it like, I'm going to force it down here, right? So they start pushing it down there, and
over
it.
the ears of the frame. And we're like, it's not designed for that.
Yeah.
But we needed to make a better design so people wouldn't try to do that.
Yeah. And we didn't know if people would honestly take the time to pop the tri-glide through and pull it. But, I would say that's been one of the feedback points that we've gotten since we launched it. People love it. Absolutely love that style of it.
And it's nice too. You don't have to use it. Obviously, when you extend that, snow collar all the way up and you roll it up, then it's not going to be able to work. But when you're going out on a day trip, it's so great not having that thing flop around on you. Right there, up on top, accessible, easy to use.
Yeah.
There's one way to solve that. You sleep it off.
I know, but it's just the top lid's out. It's nice that when I got those things like a raft, I can set that raft up on top there, smush that thing down, and put a stove up on top.
No, I got you.
Even that the other U-shaped design you have with that little stretching material, you can throw my rain jackets in there and stuff like that. That's nice too, because that expands back a little bit, so I actually can overstuff that pocket.
Yeah.
A lot of just random gear I need. I always use rain gear, or it's just my down mittens or something like that when I sit on the glass, easy access to it.
Yeah. We used to have two pockets, expandable pockets on the back, and we had a zipper that was horizontal. Well, we found out that when you load your bag and you've got the main portion of the bag full, and then you try to stuff something in there, well, that expandable material is limited by the non-expansion of the zipper. And so it was really tough to get things in there. So that was where that horseshoe shape came from. We thought we'd be able to load stuff with a full bag in there more efficiently, and we have. And I think Joe was the one that came up with, instead of having two pockets there, let's just have one big one. And that thing's been one of the coolest.
It's a
things.
huge pocket.
It is.
Yeah, I could crawl in it on the 8K.
Well, right on. You have any other questions?
No, that's what maybe. Again, we talked about the organization, how it just holds weight really comfortably. But the one thing also that really, I don't know what the word is for it, but really hit home for me about why I loved it is years past in the spot I go bear hunting every year, I leapfrog all my gear coming out, kill a bear. We got 2 bears. We'll have to leapfrog. We cannot do everything all at once because it's just so much weight and it just destroys your body. This year, both Omar and I, using your guys' packs, we did it one trip. I'm not sure how much weight it is. I hate when people throw weights around, but it was a stupid amount of weight.
Their gear and everything.
Hide, everything, all the meat. We had all the meat deboned, raft. Each of us had rifles. I don't think Omar had a spotter. I think we just carried one spotter. Yeah, we were able to do it in one trip. And that I added up in my head how much more miles I have to do if I'm leapfrogging. And then you just get more exhausted when you're doing the leapfrogging thing. You're just, we're both coming out with bears. But just doing it in one trip just saved so much time. That way I can get home quicker. Where otherwise we'd be staying out there later. Stay another day. Get home to baby girl.
Yeah.
Much quicker.
So like that was huge to me, not having to leapfrog anymore. And I'm always like, I'm not gonna do something stupid and carry out too much weight and then hurt myself. But like it's comfortable the whole time. Like I can do it, and didn't feel horrible. Yeah, I definitely was looking forward to dropping my pack in the truck and being done. But like it was that much more efficient.
Yeah.
It's efficient design when we carry heavy weight.
And if you think about as you get older and how many miles you're going to save yourself, how many miles could you actually add on to the end of your hunting career and
that's a good point.
continue doing the same thing
Yeah. Do people ask you what is the load capacity?
all the time?
All the time.
Yeah. Do you have a number?
We don't know.
More than they could carry.
That's the answer.
That's basically it. Yeah, we really don't know. I mean, I think Dave he's carried out a whole cow elk bone in, and then he's carried out 3/4 of a bull with cape and head in one load.
Just crazy amount.
That sounds awesome.
So I mean, if you do the
I mean, it's more than anyone could carry.
Absolutely.
Granted, could they walk down the sidewalk maybe with too much of it and possibly in the mountains overstepping stuff and all that? There's no way you could out carry the bag.
No, we had a guy, it was just for a photo, just to make fun of it a little bit. He sent me a picture. They hunted, I guess, bovine in Colorado. They're wild. And he said they are meaner than just about any animal that he's hunted. He's hunted all over Africa. But he hung on each side. They're 150 pounds each.
What was
hanging
it?
on seat. It was some type of cow that's in Colorado that's wild.
it's like 2,500 pounds.
Yeah.
weren't they?
Yeah, they're massive.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he said they're meaner than Cape Buffalo.
Huh.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, what is that?
So, but yeah, he just snapped a picture of the whole and he got it off as quick as he could because that's a crazy amount of weight. But
Because they held it though.
yeah, he
Yeah,
held
so
it.
I guess that was 300 there.
Yeah.
So,
That's crazy.
beast.
Right on. Any other questions? Brady, I always have to check with Brady if he's got questions.
Okay, you kind of
Because otherwise, I'll just
you go ham at the beginning.
Go ham, keep going. I have to do a check-in.
Yeah, like you guys are.
It's like having a work wife. She's
It kind of is with us. We'll agree. You guys were talking about random things on the plane, flying down, like different foams and stuff like that. You guys constantly like running ideas back of what you can do next year, 5 years from now, like how to keep improving. And
Yeah,
you have a big giant checklist of things you want to try out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting off the plane, we even agreed that we're behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys
It's-
have plans to expand into any other categories? Or are we sticking backpacks?
No, I mean, I think supporting categories, adjacent categories would make a lot of sense for us to go into. We have a lot of people come to us with, over and over requesting different products that we haven't gotten into yet that support it. So I can see us branching off and doing more and more of that as well. But I mean, the foundation is always going to be packs. That's where our heart's at. That's where our passion's at. That's what we're known for. We don't want to deviate from that. But hey, if we can take that same philosophy and improve something else, we don't ever want to be a Me Too product. That just doesn't excite us. So, but innovation, things like that, I could see. Yeah.
I know that we kind of chased you guys for a few years. Seems like since I bought the pack at the expo, and I was just loading it up with like 50-pound bag of sand and then hitting the treadmill and stuff. And then for a few years, I'd talk to Campos and be like, hey, we need to keep reaching out, keep that relationship going.
So
Let's
that
keep-
was you stoking that
yeah,
fire.
yeah. I kept telling
I thought you just ghosted us.
No, I'm in the background. I'm like you at a party, right? I'm always kind of off in the
yeah.
corner doing my own thing.
I get it.
Whispering, but yeah, let's keep chasing that relationship because I think they're going to do really well, and they've done great in the shop. So I was just going to say, if you're in the Vegas area, stop by the shop. If you're in Boise area, Caldwell.
Yep.
Yeah. Whether you guys and other vendors at all can people check out your packs?
Very limited right now.
Very limited.
Very limited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point I was trying to make. I was really appreciative that you were willing to give us a chance, as a retailer and set it up and get people going. And
You were the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys first fin? Yep.
Yeah, and the response has been awesome. So yeah, stop
you,
in,
guys.
check out a pack, and I'm just genuinely really appreciative of you guys making the time to come down today.
But we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so
Right
much
on.
for
Hopefully it
having us.
wasn't too painful.
No, great.
Yeah. Right on. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.